Today, we're going to talk about a world that feels like it's right on the edge. There's this series of pretty alarming trends, new strategic pacts, and some honestly chilling historical parallels that are raising some huge questions about global stability. We're going to break down what's happening, why it all feels so familiar, and what it really means for all of us. Okay, let's just dive right in. For decades, the world is kind of played by a certain set of rules, certain assumptions about how global power works. Well, it feels like those are being shattered. And a new, really explicit challenge was just thrown down by three of the world's most powerful nations. A cornerstone for a new multipolar order. And get this, that wasn't a message from just one country. No, that was a unified broadcast coming out of state media in Tehran, Beijing, and Moscow, all at the same time. This was right after a really dramatic development in early 2026. It's a bold declaration that a powerful new bloc is making its challenge to the West official. So what exactly is this pact that sparked such a coordinated announcement, and why is it such a big deal, such a huge shift in how countries are relating to each other? Let's get into the specifics of this new trilateral agreement. Now, the key thing to understand here is the nuance. This isn't some rigid military alliance like NATO, where if you attack one, you attack them all. Think of it more as a flexible geopolitical coalition. Its goal isn't just military, it's really about aligning three major powers against what they see as Western economic bullying and military pressure. So, what this pact really does is it puts on paper what's been building for years. It takes these previous long-term deals that Russia and China already had with Iran and rolls them into one big thing. And it has three main goals. First, to take the sting out of Western sanctions. Second, to build financial systems that don't rely on the US dollar. And third, to just present a totally united diplomatic and military front. But a pact like this doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. According to some deep analysis from the think tank Chatham House, it's actually the direct result of a year where global security just took a nosedive, and it happened across several key areas all at once. Okay, the first trend, and honestly maybe the most alarming one, was how nuclear arms control just started to unravel. The guardrails that have kept us from nuclear escalation for decades, they just started to buckle under the pressure of all these new tensions and crises. And this timeline just perfectly shows you the domino effect. It kicks off with serious questions about NATO's reliability, that it escalates to open conflict between two nuclear powers, India and Pakistan, and then boom, direct strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. And all of this is happening right as the very last nuclear treaty between the US and Russia is about to expire, which could kick off a brand new, totally unchecked arms race. So the second big trend that Chatham House identified is this explosion in what they call hybrid attacks. These are actions that cause real damage and chaos, but they're deliberately designed to blur the lines between an act of war and, say, peacetime sabotage. It makes it incredibly hard to know how to respond. Think about it. We're talking about vital undersea cables getting damaged, swarms of really cheap drones shutting down major airports, and constant violations of a country's airspace. Adversaries can cause massive disruption with low-cost tech, and it's exposing these huge vulnerabilities in national defenses that were built to stop, billion-dollar missiles. And here's where it gets really interesting. For years, we all thought that connecting our economies, this interdependence, was a source of stability. It was supposed to make us safer. But now, those very same connections are being turned into weapons. China started restricting exports of critical materials, while the US began using its security guarantees and access to its market as leverage. Interdependence is now a tool of coercion. And finally, the fourth trend shows us that this growing competition isn't just happening on land, or at sea, or even in cyberspace. Nope, it's literally moving into the final frontier, space. It really is like the return of Star Wars. After the US held back some satellite intelligence, European countries had to scramble to build their own systems. Then Russia was accused of launching what looked like a potential space weapon. And to top it off, the US announced a massive missile defense plan. So space is getting more crowded, more commercialized, and yeah, a lot more militarized, with no new rules in sight to govern any of it. So if you're hearing all of this, the hardened-in alliances, the new arms races, the institutions that just can't seem to do anything, and you're getting a weird sense of déjà vu, well, you're not wrong. Historians are pointing to some seriously chilling parallels with the periods right before the World Wars, and they're asking, are we in a similar structural moment right now? Just look at this table. It lays out the similarities so clearly. Before World War I, you had these rigid treaty-bound alliances. Today, we're seeing these deepening strategic alignments. The trigger back then was the assassination of a leader. Today, targeted killings are a common tool of statecraft. The dynamic then was this use-it-or-lose-it logic that rushed everyone to war. Today, it's these rapid-fire cycles of retaliation. And the parallels don't stop there. They also extend to the 1930s. We are absolutely seeing a major ideological showdown between different ways of running a country. And, critically, our main institution for global security, the UN Security Council, is often totally paralyzed by vetoes, just like the League of Nations was helpless to stop aggression in the run-up to World War II. But let's be super clear about something. If a global-scale conflict were to break out today, it would look nothing like the wars of the 20th century. The battlefields themselves have been completely redefined. Modern war is fought across at least 5 domains, all at the same time. You've got these precise, high-tech strikes mixed with cyber attacks on critical infrastructure. You have economic warfare through sanctions and information warfare to manipulate public opinion. And all of that is happening right alongside traditional military operations. The real goal isn't just to capture territory anymore, it's to destabilize the entire system.
So, after connecting all these dots, the new pacts, these dangerous trends, the echoes of history, what's the bottom line? Where does this all leave us, and what does it mean for the world we actually live in?
And here's the ultimate takeaway, and it's a bit of a paradox. A modern world war might actually have fewer casualties on the battlefield than the wars of the past, but it could cause far, far greater structural damage to the global order. The real targets would be the systems we all depend on: finance, trade, energy, leading to runaway inflation, collapsing supply chains, and widespread economic crisis. And this leaves us with one final and pretty provocative question from historians. You see, world wars are often only recognized for what they truly were long after the fact, in retrospect. So the question for us, right now, is this. Are we already living through a systemic conflict that is changing the world as we speak, and we just don't have the perspective to see it yet?